Love and software engineering both require anticipation, careful design, and the ability to gracefully handle the unexpected. Welcome to today's podcast, where we blend the art of exception handling in Kotlin with the timeless elegance of the solid principles. And what better way to illustrate this than with Hard Kotlin, the most sophisticated dating app ever conceived in code. In both romance and software design, we must ensure clarity in communication, handle failures gracefully, and maintain adaptability. Let's dive into how exception handling and solid architecture transform chaos into elegance, just as a well-tailored suit turns a man into a gentleman. In 1948, Claude Shannon revolutionized our understanding of communication. His theory was simple. How do we ensure that the signal remains clear, even in the presence of noise? Today, we apply the same thinking to software architecture. The solid principles ensure that our software remains resilient and adaptable, transmitting its purpose clearly across time, teams, and changes. Like a refined conversation, great software must be structured to minimize misunderstandings. Exceptions, much like well-placed apologies in a romantic misstep, allow for graceful recovery. In software and in life, too many responsibilities create chaos. The Single Responsibility Principle, or SRP, tells us that a class should have one and only one reason to change. In Hard Kotlin, our once tried to do everything, registering users, validating passwords, creating profiles, and even sending verification emails. Much like a man juggling too many romantic interests, this inevitably led to disaster. A refined approach separates concerns, just as a gentleman knows when to speak and when to listen. A refined approach separates concerns, just as a gentleman knows when to speak and when to listen. Each class now has a single responsibility, reducing cognitive overhead and making maintenance as effortless as a well-timed compliment. The open-close principle states that software entities should be open for extension but closed for modification. Imagine if every time a new romantic trend emerged, you had to rewrite all of your love letters. Instead, we build systems that can evolve without breaking existing functionality. This allows us to extend our exception handling without modifying the base logic, like adding new verses to a song while keeping its essence intact. Liskov's principle tells us that subtypes must be substitutable for their base types. In Hard Kotlin, a should work everywhere a does, without breaking expectations. If our premium users required entirely different handling, we would be violating Liskov, akin to expecting a dance partner to suddenly switch from waltz to breakdancing mid-step. Interface segregation ensures that clients aren't forced to depend on methods they don't use, much like how an elegant dinner conversation flows without unnecessary digressions. Before the Internet Service Providers, or ISPs, came into the picture, accessing the Internet was, well, a bit of a different story. It was a time when modems were the bridge to the online world and dial-up connections were the norm. Back then, users had to rely on their phone lines to connect to the Internet, often resulting in busy signals and slower speeds. It was, a simpler yet more complicated era, laying the groundwork for the high-speed connections we enjoy today. A well-defined interface is like an elegant toast, concise, meaningful, and perfectly timed. Much like the pursuit of love, great software architecture is about reducing ambiguity, handling the unexpected, and ensuring seamless communication. The solid principles provide the structure, and exception handling adds the grace. May your code be robust, your failures well handled, and your romantic ventures as refined as your architecture. Sante! To err is human, to handle it elegantly is divine. Like this podcast? Subscribe for more insights on elegant coding, architecture, and the romance of software design. Until next time, keep your exceptions handled and your heart open.